Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're happy to be able to bring this webinar to you so you can update your settings in Practice Web and start 2020 on the right note. We have strategically planned our webinar today because it is that crazy time of year when patients are coming in trying to maximize their insurance benefits, and you have the holidays, and the practice is just really busy. But there are some important items that you need to address to make sure that your practice can run as smoothly and efficiently as possible in the new year. Now, between December and January, we typically see an influx of technical support calls with the same frequently asked questions. How do I update my hours of operation for the new year? I would like to increase my UCR fees insurance fee schedules, when you get those letters from the insurance company with any new fees. How to update your pay periods for employee time cards. How to contact patients with remaining treatment and benefits. And how do you let them know that their benefits have reset? And also getting the 2019 ADA claim form and the new 2020 CDT codes, which will be required for your insurance billing. So let's go ahead and move into the Practice Web software. Now, to start with, the first item of topic is the hours of operation. Now, to effectively use the Make Recall button and know when you have available appointment time versus time when you're supposed to be closed, it is important that you have your hours of operation entered under the setup menu. Now, most practices have this set up pretty far in advance, but if your office sets it up a year at a time, like starting in January, then you'll need to extend it so you can use this Make Recall button properly. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, right now I have John Smith selected, and he wants to schedule his recall. So if I were to click on this Make Recall button, many people towards this time of year will see that there's no additional appointment time slots available, and that's because the hours of operation don't go past when his recall is due. And you can see on my appointment module, I have this white area here for my available appointment times, and then I have the gray time as to when my practice is supposed to be closed. This is actually set up under the Setup menu, and down here to Schedules. So many of you, if you were to go to Setup and Schedules, you might see something that looks similar to this. You'll have the last periods of when your hours were entered, and then you'll see it blank for the rest of the year. So when it comes to setting up your hours of operation, so maybe this is a feature that you haven't actually set up yet. It's very easy to do. You can just double click on the day you want to enter hours of operation for. And typically you'll select whoever your default provider is. And then you're going to click the Add button. So the start time is when you'll begin seeing appointments. Stop time is when you will either close or if you're going to take a lunch break. You can see from the example that I have here already for you, I'll go ahead and pull one up. So this particular example shows my doctor working from 8 to noon and then taking lunch, as you can see back here on the appointment calendar itself, taking lunch from 12 to 1. And then 5 o'clock is ideally when we would go home. I've also selected these operatories. So by highlighting the operatories here in this column, that gives me the ability, I'm going to close out of here real quick. That gives me the ability to see on my schedule maybe different hours of operation for different providers. And then you can see this hygiene operatory. She's a hard worker. She works straight through and just takes lunch as needed. So that's currently the settings we have set up here. So depending on what your practice hours are, you have full control over being able to set that up as needed. So now that we know how to enter the hours of operation if necessary, let's talk about extending those hours. So we've established your hours of operation for the week. And if you need to have weekends, like Saturdays or Sundays, there is this little checkbox over here on the left that says Show Weekends. So we're going to go ahead and open that up, and now you can see that Saturday and Sunday hours of operation can be made available. So once you've established your week, any day that week can be highlighted gray. And we're going to click the Copy Week button down here in the lower left. So what that'll do is that'll put the date range of the last time you had hours of operation entered. And so you can see it right here in our clipboard contents. Since I know that there's 52 weeks in a year, down here at the bottom of my screen, you see a number field. So I can type the number 52 into that field. And when I click on the Repeat button, it's going to fill in my calendar for the rest of the year. So it's really easy to set out a long extended period of time, or, even if you're just adjusting your hours of operation for another time schedule, like maybe you're shortening your hours for the summer or seminar or anything like that, or maybe you're changing your off days from Wednesdays to Fridays. You can see just by using the copy buttons and the paste and repeat, you can definitely very easily extend your hours of operation out for the next year. Now, once you've entered those hours of operation, now your recall button will work. So let's go ahead and clear our clipboard here, and we'll start from 0. So if I wanted to schedule a recall for Mr. Smith here, now you can see my calendar automatically jumps me 6 months into the future. So now my recall will work properly. So this is probably one of the first most highly rated technical support questions we get at this time of year. And again, if you do have any questions on this, feel free to type in the chat box. Okay, so the next topic we had listed was increasing the fees. Now, it's important for any business, including the dental office, to keep up with, the continuing rate of inflation and increased business expenses. This means that it may be necessary for you to increase your UCR fees, or maybe you got a letter from the insurance company, maybe it's something that you're in contract with, and they have a new fee schedule for 2020, or maybe even benefits for the upcoming year. So if you want to make sure that you're collecting the correct copays, you need to update those contracted fee schedules. So to do that, you go to the List menu, and then you go to Procedure Codes. And this is where you'll find your default fee schedules. Now, your UCR is identified by either saying Standard or UCR. You have the ability to customize the names of these fee schedules as you need for your organizational preferences. If you needed to update a specific fee schedule like Delta, Blue Cross, MetLife, any of those, you would just select the name of that fee schedule from this list. Now, when it comes to updating your fee schedules themselves, it is highly recommended that you create a copy of the old fee schedule first. Sometimes it's one of those things where you might accidentally, mistakenly enter the wrong one, or maybe you increase by the wrong percentage. You want to make sure you have a copy so that way you can always easily correct that. So if you wanted to create that copy, what we would do is create a fee schedule here. And to do that, we're going to click the Fee Schedules button here in the lower right. And we're going to click the Add button in the center. So since we're increasing our UCR fee right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and call this UCR for 2019. So that way I can easily reference that this is what my UCR fees were during this time frame. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now, 99% of all of your insurance plans or fee schedules, they are going to be the normal fee schedule type. And so how we have our settings here is just fine. So we're going to go ahead and save that. So now I have my UCR 2019 ready to copy over. Now, the process of increasing the fees is really easy with this Fee Tools button down here in the lower right. So if I click this Fee Tools button, I can choose the fee schedule that I want to work with. So right now we're working with our UCR fee. That's what's selected by default. And I want to copy that fee schedule to my UCR 2019 so I can actually make that copy. So once I click this copy button, it's going to give me my settings here. I'm going to go ahead and copy over. And you see just how easy that was. Now, let me go ahead and show you what it did. So we're going to go ahead and click OK to this. So here is my current UCR fee. So you can see my fees here. And if I looked at my UCR 2019, you can see they're exactly the same. So just that easy, I was able to make a backup of what my current fee schedules are for this year. So let's go ahead and talk about the full fee schedule increase. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to that fee tools. And again, I'm going to make sure that the fee schedule I'm editing is selected here at the top. And over here on the right side, you see where it says increase by. So if I were increasing by, let's say, 5%, I can put the number 5 here in this field. I'm just going to round it to the nearest dollar so that way I don't have any miscellaneous cents in my pricing. And I'm going to go ahead and click on increase. So this is going to tell me that it's about to overwrite everything that I've got in my current selected fee schedule here. So we're going to go ahead and do the increase. And so now you can see that my standard UCR fee has now increased all across the board by 5%. And if for any reason I did make a mistake, I have my backup of my old fee schedule. Now, if you have any specific fee schedules or like specific procedure fees that you need to edit, again, you can just make sure that you have the correct fee schedule highlighted here. And if you're going to edit like individual fees, maybe you have like a list of 5 or something that need to be updated, you can click on that fee box next to the procedure code. And we're going to go ahead and change it. Maybe it changed, hopefully, knowing insurance companies, hopefully it went up. But you can very easily edit it and then hit the downward arrow key on your keyboard. It works a lot like an Excel spreadsheet. So it's very, very simple to enter or edit fees for a specific contracted fee schedule. Now, when you have fees updated, how do you make sure that the patient's copays are correct when they come in for their future appointments? Let's go ahead and go back to today, and let's take a look at our calendar here. Depending on how you have your appointment view set up, I know our default setting for appointment views does allow you to see which are insurance patients. Any insurance patients have the letter I in the appointment, and if you look in the pop-up bubble, it will also tell you what the carrier is of the insurance that they have. So as your patients start coming in after January 1st, you can click on their name and jump over to their treatment plan. And then you would use the update fees to update any estimates or copays based on the new fees. And if you wanted to make sure you update anything like globally, like if you needed to assign a new fee schedule, you can also update any insurance benefits, or you can update any fee schedule attachments in the actual insurance plan to affect them globally. So rather than doing it individually, if you click on the insurance plan list, and based on the letter you got from whatever insurance, you can do a quick search with the fields up here at the top of the insurance plan. And on the carrier and the group number, group name, you can double click on that plan. And if you needed to change or add a fee schedule, you could do that here. If you needed to update any benefits, you could do that here. And so by updating any benefits here, anybody who is attached to this plan, actually, do you know what? Let me do this one because it's a little bit more impressive here. So if I come over here, you can see that anybody on this list would automatically have their benefits updated. So you can very easily manage your insurance plans with the tools in Practice Web for the upcoming year. Okay, and so if you have any questions on the fee schedules or updating the fees, go ahead and type your questions in the Q&A. We'll make sure to get those questions answered for you in a little minute. So let's go ahead and move on to time cards now. So another important setting is the pay periods, so your employees can clock in and out. You can find your time card in your Manage module. So it is important that you have your pay periods entered, so that way you can efficiently calculate your payroll. And you don't want to have to enter the pay periods week by week. Now, when it comes to the setup of your pay periods, you're going to go to the Setup menu, and you're going to go to Manage, and you're going to go to Time Cards. Now, when it comes to your time cards, it'll automatically hide any pay periods that are more than 6 months old. If you want to go back and see that information, you can always uncheck that box. But for the most part, to help avoid visual clutter, if you will, it does automatically hide the last 6 months for you. Now, when it comes to adding in your pay periods, if you need to extend it past a specific time frame, you can click on Add One, and notice how it'll automatically give me the calculations based on whatever my typical pay period is set up. Some practices pay weekly, some bi-weekly, some monthly. You can set up your start date and end date for whatever your standard pay periods are based on your management preferences. The start date and the end date are what are actually responsible for calculating your payroll. So you can click OK, and you can see that that next pay period has been added. Now, when it comes to your pay periods, there's also the ability to do a generate many. Sometimes there are pay periods that may be a couple days longer than the other. Again, it's all based on how your management preferences set those up. But if you would like to go ahead and just generate a year in advance, you can click on the Generate Many button, and you can pick the start date of when these pay periods are going to begin. You can choose whether you pay weekly, whether you pay every 2 weeks, or if you pay on a monthly schedule. And you can go 1 year out. I think you can go as much as 2 years out, but it doesn't go past that. So you can put in whether you're going 52 or 52 weeks or 104. And then you can also mark whether your paycheck date is, 1 or 5 days after the date of the pay period ending. Again, it's all based on how you calculate and when you actually decide to issue your paychecks. So once you've put in your parameters, you can click on Generate. And so that'll generate your pay periods. And once you click OK, that'll add them into your list. So now, as far as making sure that your staff can, very quickly clock in and clock out, your pay periods are set up for the entire year. And then you don't have to worry about having any mismatches of people trying to clock in but not being able to see it. It's already going to be integral for you. Now, when it comes to utilizing the time clocks, it is very efficient to do. All you have to do is just highlight your name and then clock in. And then if you're ready to go to lunch or if you're going home, you just highlight your name, whatever the status out. And the great thing is this does actually of your server time. So it doesn't matter what computer from, it is going to, like if you have a hygienist who literally runs in the door and has to drop her purse and get right to the chair, she can clock in on time, and that can help minimize the amount of, editing of time cards or pay periods that you may have to do at the end of your pay period. So when it comes to accessing your payroll, you can just click on the Manage button, and this will give you a report of everybody and their hours. Okay, so again, if you have any questions on the pay periods or the time clocks, feel free to type your questions into that chat. Now, the last topic is being able to contact patients to let them know that their benefits have reset. It's not uncommon for dentists to see a huge swing in production numbers throughout the year. Typically, you see a huge influx in the third and fourth quarter, but then like in the first and second quarter of the year, flow of appointments seems to lull a little bit and slow down. But it's important for the health of your patients, as well as the health of your practice, to have your patients come in more regularly. And you don't necessarily want to wait until the end of the year to notify a patient about their insurance benefits. You can also reach out to them at the beginning of the year and try to create a steady stream of appointments instead of just seasonally. So if you wanted to reach out to your patients to let them know that their benefits have reset, typically you will use the recall list. So this is a list of everybody who should have come in for routine care throughout 2019, but they did not. And you can actually use our two-way texting, PW Connect, and you can actually customize a message to have them come back and let them know that their benefits have reset. So you can select your date range, like if you want to go back all the way to January 1st, 2019, and then, we'll go ahead and refresh that list. So anybody who would show up on this list, if I click on the text button down here at the bottom, I can use my system to select my New Year benefits reset message. And I can let all of these patients know that they can come back because they have the benefits to cover their treatment. That also applies to our treatment plan analyzer. Many times you will have a patient with a pretty extensive case, and they may have come in, in the third quarter or fourth quarter, but maybe they maxed out. If the treatment allows, they'll hold out on doing their treatment until the new year when their benefits reset. So the treatment plan analyzer is a report. I'll go ahead and pull it up for you. We're going to go ahead and go to the reports menu, and we're going to go ahead and highlight standard, and we're going to go ahead and go to treatment plan manager. So this particular report will specifically allow you to compare incomplete treatment plans to insurance benefits that are remaining. Some offices will use this in the third and fourth quarter of the year, but you shouldn't reserve it for that time. You can also use it at the beginning of the year because it will have a list of everybody who has an incomplete treatment plan. And the same thing, you can actually click on this text button here. And let me get it. There we go. And you can, do an end of the year, you can do New Year, and that way you can let these patients know that they have treatment and they need to come back. Now, it does look like we are at the top of the hour. If you have any additional questions in regards to the software, we would love to assist you. Please don't hesitate to contact our support team by calling 1-800-845-9379, option 2 for our support team. Or if you have any non-urgent issues, feel free to email us at support@practice-web.com.